Now, oh, yeah.
That way,
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Goshen Town Board meeting, September 26, 2024. We moved some things around the agenda. I apologize for that. I don't want the police have work to do, so I gotta get manager. So there's someone in more. So can I get a motion to open up the Town Board meeting, September 26th?
So moved.
Second?
Doug and Phil.
All in favor? Aye. All right, first thing on the agenda, we're gonna hear a report from Chief Post.
Hello, everybody. What's my allotted time?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Start the clock. All right. We're good?
Yep.
I got a report. I'm Jim Post. I'm the chief in the town of Goshen Police. Let me blaze through some things I wrote down. National Night Out was held Thursday, August 15th. It was on a rain delay, but it was a success. Very nice night. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and supporting. Child seat installation event. We held our first one. We have 2 certified technicians, Officer Nigel, Officer Kevin. They're certified now. We did over 20 safety checks and installs on child seats. We did it at Burke High School. They're always cooperative with us and they helped us out. That was a pretty successful day, very good time. We're working on getting these guys iFit certifications. If you don't know what an iFit certification is, which you probably don't, it's when you get certified to help seniors and new drivers navigate their high-tech vehicles. A lot of seniors don't know how to navigate, work their vehicles, work all the settings and dashboards like me. Hiring of a new part-time officer. We hired John Barton a couple weeks ago, local family guy, very experienced officer. He's an EMT trainer, and an arson investigator. He's got good credentials. John Barton, part-time. He'll be cut loose soon. He's going through FDO training right now. We conducted DOT checkpoint, heavy trucks. On September 20th, we got 2 officers that did that. They spent 6 hours. They had 2 commercial vehicles placed out of service in town, 17 violations with 14 tickets issued. That's another new program we started within the last year, Officer Nigel. Again, we started to re-participate this year in the Stop DWI program with the county for the first time in many years, and our guys were out hitting it pretty heavy. We received funding for phase 2 from, nice check from Stop DWI to help fund this. This doesn't cost the town any extra money, they fund it. Let's get to the big guy to the left of me. We'll save him for the end. Digital speed signs are being deployed around the town. The speed sign, finally, right? Finally. It's been a long time. Well, we got them on a grant. They've been in boxes, but anyways, we're working on it. Me and Sergeant Edwards figured out how to do it. We mounted one in town already. Has anybody seen it?
Arcadia Road.
Arcadia Road.
It's on Arcadia Road?
Yeah, off Arcadia. The
What
3
does that
Arcadia
mean? It
people
says
here have
slow
seen it,
down. What
but
does that mean?
we've been working with local residents and homeowners, looking for the best spots to put them. We got 5 more that are going to be deployed once we get the proper pole and stuff like that. I really want to get one on 6.5 Station by the Heritage Trail crossing.
Houston Road,
Houston Road's on the agenda.
Yes.
By Abby. We had a couple problems. We wanted to put one on Owens Road, but they're solar, so we couldn't get the right spot. So we got a couple of places they're going up. We listen to people, and plus they're portable. We learned how to put them up. We can take them down and put them other places. The signs that flash and tell you in red, slow down, or your speed is whatever. They're good ones too. So people or kids can't go out and try to hit 99 on them. They won't give you digits over a certain level. We received a pretty substantial tech grant from DCJS, which is Albany, Division of Criminal Justice Services. Big tech grant for equipment. You're gonna start seeing you're gonna start seeing cameras go up. I'm gonna create the ring of iron around Goshen. The dome of iron. It's gonna be nice. We're gonna have a lot of cameras going up. Just gonna read license plates for investigative purposes, not for issuing tickets or anything like that. Never gonna be used for ticket enforcement. for just identifying, getting plate numbers. We used it today. We had an incident at Stewart's today, and we've already got him, already caught the guy. He covered his plate at Stewart's, but then uncovered it before he tripped our camera.
I saw you.
You did?
Yeah, I did. A couple of police.
He doesn't know we're coming, but we're coming, buddy. That's what we're doing there.
See someone get up in the audience and run out.
Like there's other guys having coffee, what the hell?
We're doing that too.
It was business.
All right, I'm gonna do a top 10 list, our top 5 calls this summer for people that want to know. Number 5, traffic complaints, non-accidents, just traffic complaints, people calling. This is for June and July of this summer. 46. Accidents, we actually have a tie. 46 accidents in 2 months. Welfare checks, we get a call to go check on something, we check on people a lot. 48. This is in 2-month period. Medical aided calls, we love our EMS, always aiding them as much as we can. 73, but they do all the hard work. We're just there to open the door and lift it. People, mostly. Number 1 call, if you could guess, alarms. 74 alarms we went to, house alarms or panic alarms. People set them off at businesses when they're in trouble. That doesn't count the 214 property checks when we check businesses at night or people's houses, people going on vacation, stuff like that. Total call for service, 2-month period, 1,137 calls, 45 criminal cases, 14 arrests and summonses, 90 tickets issued. How am I doing?
2
A
minutes.
minute and a half.
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
I'll give you a little number here too. I told you we're putting cameras up, okay? That's for our investigative purpose. Nothing is going on in Goshen. Very, very low crime rate, but we're a hub. And just to show you what a hub we are, can you guess in the last 24 hours how many license plates we scanned? We only have 5 cameras up now, we're gonna have 9. We scanned in the last 24 hours 35,366 car license plates. In the last hour before I got here, 2,352 cars are hitting on our cameras. So we don't do anything with it, but like today we had an incident at a business where somebody stole a lot of gas, had his license plate covered, went down the road, uncovered it, and it hit on our camera. So now we're going to use that.
Okay.
We got you. We're coming, buddy. You don't know it, but here we come tonight. 10/2, October 2nd. I know we have to have a meeting, but coffee with the cop at Stewart's. I'll be there. Me and my guys will be there.
Gas with the
Anybody
cop
wants-
for the one guy.
That's a lot of coffee. What's that?
Gas with the cop for the one guy at Stewart's.
Yeah, he comes.
He'll be there.
Anybody who wants to come, coffee with a cop, community members, come on down and see us. And the second to last announcement, we stand by for an announcement for our trunk or treat event we're going to do this year for Halloween. We're going to have a good one. We got a good one planned. Without further ado, to my left stands Police Officer Antonio Esposito. He is here because he has completed, and it was no joke, right guys? Right, Jody?
Yep.
An EMT course, the EMTB course. He is now a certified EMT on duty. When he's on duty, he's also an EMT. He's going to be a fly car. We're going to get him all kinds of gear donated from the ambulance corps. I don't know if you knew that yet. But he is going to have all kinds of gear and be a fly car and be able to get the things really fast as an EMT. We've been using him. He's pretty much a doctor to me. So we've been using him for a lot of stuff already.
So he just finished his course?
He just finished his course. He started. He started on June 6th. He ended on August 15th. 156 hours of skills work. That's a lot. 6 months class condensed into 3 months. This is all while he worked full-time, too. Valedictorian of the class. He was offered an instructor position already at the county EMS and started teaching at the beginning of September, working towards an instructor certification. So we now have, oh, wait a minute. He was asked to help instruct, he wrote this. He was asked to help instruct at the Orange County Police Academy with Sergeant Graham from Wallkill PD after he completes instructor. Of course, so he's all into it, he's all in, we look for volunteers, he jumped right up, he wanted to do it. The other guys have seen what he's gone through, and now we're canvassing to try to get another guy through. So we're gonna have police, EMTs out there, and I think that's 5 minutes, barely 5.
Good guy.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you, members of the board.
Thanks, Antonio. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you, everybody. That's it.
Keep us out of trouble.
Goshen is very safe. I'm telling you, I could read you a report every day, what goes on around this county.
Okay?
You never see Goshen in there. I'm not saying we, you know,
Based on those
keep it that
numbers,
safe,
you
but-
said that, based on-
no, our numbers are great. Our numbers are great. We are very low crime, we're omnipresent, we're all over the place, we patrol all over, we try to be seen a lot, whether it's at Stewart's or wherever, we try to make a presence, and I just want to show you some numbers that this town is like a hub of people coming through, and you guys all heard about last night, you know, things happen. That doesn't count Route 17. You know, we were out there last night, my guys, so that's it.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, we have a discussion of the creation of the ambulance district. Assemblyman Mars here.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I love it.
All right, thank you.
He's trying to get out of grant now.
Floor is yours, sir.
This is what, okay? All right, I'm here with Chief of Goshen EMS, Jody Crom, who also is an excellent worker still, right? Town of Montgomery? Good, awesome. So you've already heard our presentation in the map planner report. The last time we were here, we were going to do a presentation in the village of Goshen, but that actually did not happen because they prefer for the town to move forward first. So procedurally, you guys would set a public hearing in which we would do a more formal presentation than tonight. If you wanted to go forward conceptually with just hearing everything out and seeing what the impact would be and what the residents think about it, ask more questions yourselves. And then during that time, we would also, the Goshen EMS, reach out to the other municipalities that are part of the assessed roles in the map plan report based on the coverage unit of Goshen EMS. And at that point, over the next 2 months, you get feedback and see what you look like based on what the other townships would do that are in the district, and then make a decision. This would be for fiscal year starting January 2026. So it's not a rush, you have plenty of time. If everything is put together by February of next year, based on my knowledge and conversations with Goshen's assessor's office, you'll be good to go to be a district if everything is passed and everything is agreeable by February of next year, January 2026. So we're not here to be in a rush, don't need your approval in 2 seconds, want to make sure everybody asks their questions. If you have any questions about the NPR again before you vote to set a public hearing, happy to answer them, and anything else that you have for us.
I'm just concerned a little bit about protocol. I always thought the village had to go first before the town. Is there any issue with that?
I'm by no means the expert on the ambulance district formation. That was the way it was, that I was advised initially, that if they don't approve, doesn't mean that we can't go forward, but they're supposed to either approve or not approve first before we go.
So
But again, that information, certainly I would, I want to say defer to you, but I know that you've formed this already in another municipality, and so.
Yes, you may, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So in town of Montgomery, you are correct. Before we closed our public hearing at the town, we left it open, and we went from village to village, where Montgomery passed resolution, Neighbor passed resolution. Walden took a little while, many months, and eventually the town acted to create a district without the village, but when the village found out that they would have to pay for services anyway if they were not included in the district, they ended up opting in. So that's something that took place in the town, but Mr. Brady is right. The town starts the process by opening up the public hearing. The village and the other municipalities know they mean business because you're really looking at it. Then they have to make a decision either way, and then the town would make its decision whether or not the village is opted in and how procedurally that would work. That gets a little convoluted, but there's a process to do that as well.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
Well, did you make your presentation to the village?
No, so that's what they said. They wanted to wait until you guys set a public hearing because the feedback was, well, if they're not 100% going to go forward with this or even thinking about going forward with this, we would want them to act first before we spend the time to go through it because it's going to take a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of time, a lot of resources. I hope that the trustees and the mayor go to visit the EMS. The good part about this is it's not a rush. We know what our time frame is. And the goal, hopefully, if you guys end up doing this, is the state passes a law that's currently, was very close to being passed, which if you create and form a tax district, it doesn't hit your cap. So it would not count towards the 2% tax cap. Because in Montgomery, when we create our district, we actually overrode the tax cap. So there's a piece of legislation that we hope is passed and timed well for you guys, so you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Question, you said February 25 would be the time frame to get it on the rolls for 26? Is that
Yes.
correct? And that's realistic for where we're at right now?
Yes.
But we're not waiting until February to set a public hearing, correct?
No, you want to
That
set
would be the
public.
vote, that would have to be the vote date. It would have to be adopted by
The
that.
other municipalities and the town would close and adopt prior to that meeting. And then some municipalities, it's later in the year, it's October. But I believe Goshen's is also that March 1 or March 31st deadline to get the rolls in.
Okay, that's the deadline, March.
Yep.
So how do we get the other villages and, other municipalities to go in on this?
Education,
And you said, who goes around to these municipalities and encourages them to join or to look at it favorably? Is it
So-
up to the ambulance corps?
yeah, Goshen EMS has asked me to join their coalition, so I'll be taking the lead because of our success in Montgomery and my knowledge on the issue and the state stuff. But just as a compliment, it's a Goshen EMS presentation.
Okay.
So they would probably come to our public hearing and then go from there?
If I was them, I would, just to learn. But realistically, we'll probably end up setting something up specifically at a village board meeting. The villages don't have to do a public hearing. They don't have to set it. All they have to do is a resolution, simple resolution opting in. That's the only action they need to take. In Maybrook and Montgomery, they did it in the first meeting. Again, Walden took many months, but it's pretty simple to opt in. It doesn't take much for the villages.
So I did meet with the EMS a couple of weeks ago. I
Great.
went down and sat with the president and the chief, and for probably about an hour, had a nice discussion. And my preference would be to get a paramedic on board. So we have an ALS and not just a BLS, not just transportation. And I know you are a paramedic already. So we have one, and there's a lot of equipment that we have that would allow us to morph into being an ALS.
Yeah.
We have the equipment already because we have grants and stuff. So I'd be very interested. If there's any kind of lead, I'd help take the lead on the positive bridges. So there you go. Just-
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, when it comes to the ALS, that's the entire reason for creating it. Yes, there's a portion of this that would support the existing BLS services, but for the most part, this is to increase services to have paramedics on 24/7 right here in Goshen.
Important. Yeah, I found out it was critical.
Yeah.
I'd like to share a brief story that I got a call yesterday from Supervisor Quinn up in way yonder. She had just set up a district. She did it a little different. She hired the employees, but they had an accident on Saturday morning at midnight where a 4-year-old was ejected out of the car, almost 60 feet from a car seat, from one of those 4-year-old car seats. They were there, responded within 4 minutes. At the hospital, within 8 minutes, and the doctor told them if they were here at 10 minutes, that baby would have been dead. So strong importance for ALS and ambulance.
Yeah.
And actually, Empress showed up 29 minutes for the mother, who I think did not make it. So important. I think that's something that we really have to look at deeply, see the cost and weigh the cost against the need for it.
And I would encourage all of you, when you guys set the date, from now till that date, you have the NPR, meet with the EMS, ask questions, submit questions beforehand so that we can be as prepared as possible to answer your questions. There's a lot of information that'll be given that day, so it'll be a good presentation.
So I thought tonight the issue was going to be to set a public hearing.
Yeah.
Set a date for the public hearing.
Right.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
So, could I have a motion to set a public hearing on what date?
How far out should I go?
I think a good preparation would be a month.
Month? October, second meeting in October?
No, that's,
Now, in the meantime, will somebody be contacting the municipalities like the village to see see if they're gonna come to our meeting.
How about December 14th?
December?
Gives you enough time.
December?
I think that's a little late.
Late,
Is
yeah.
it too late? All right, then, October 24th.
Did you mean November
November.
3rd? You said December 3rd. Did you mean November 3rd?
Not November, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
November 14th.
November 14th or October?
November 14th sounds good. It'll give them time to go see the municipalities that have to give us feedback on this, I think.
I'll make a motion and we establish a public hearing for the 14th of November.
I'll second that motion.
Good?
At 7 o'clock.
Does that work for
somewhere thereafter.
the EMS? I know there's a few people.
I got it.
Ernie?
Need a roll call on that?
Yeah.
Chief right there.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, do you have a published document I could use?
We can use one from
10 days?
the town that you can see, that you can copy and paste, change the name of Goshen, and yeah, I can get that to you via email.
Will it be published 10 days before or 5 days?
I think it's 10.
10 for this, okay.
I believe it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A roll call?
Yes.
I need the motion first. You make the
We need a motion.
Doug made it.
Doug made it, I seconded it.
Councilmember Blumenfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Gloria? Councilmember Lyon? Councilmember Cantorino?
Aye.
Supervisor Betcher?
Aye.
We'll see you in November. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, first item on the, third item on the agenda tonight's public hearing. It's a continuation of the revised introduction law number 10 of 2024, amending ADB solid waste management with the code of the town of Goshen to update provisions related to existing facilities. Don't have to open the public hearing, it's still open, so I'll open up the floor to anybody from any residents that would like to speak on this.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
John? Okay, first of all, I don't recall a discussion by this board for a need to create a new solid waste management law. I heard it on the planning board, but I didn't hear it by this board. And I still don't understand why the requested changes for IWS to renew their operating permit can't be done and the wording issuing a new permit or as an amendment to the current local law 80B. This new rewrite of local law 80B has many changes compared to the local law 80B presented at the 9/12 public hearing. As our attorney suggested, this public hearing should be republished again, referring to the changes and comments authorizing Attorney Naughton to make. With that said, I'd like to make a couple of changes myself, but they're warm and fuzzy changes, nothing you have to really hire a lawyer for. But on your first paragraph, third line down, it says it says limits in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people who live in and work in the town of Goshen. I would like to see people who live in and work in the town of Goshen taken out and put to our citizens, our neighboring communities, and our environment, and insert that in that line. Also, on the subsection number 2, I just have a question with, and I need clarification, but it says, with the exception of the existing facilities, the proposed facility shall join the right-of-way of an existing state highway and county road. But IWS is on a town road, so I just need that clarified for me there. I'm a little foggy about the wording.
Kurzbeck, can you say what section that was again? I'm sorry, I was taking notes.
Section 2.
Thank you.
ADB 9A2.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm also having a hard time understanding the wording in your subsection B. where it says, this restriction on the minimum required acreage for a solid waste management facility does not apply to facilities in existence on the effective date of this local law. I just need that clarified for me, that sentence. And in closing, I want to acknowledge Councilman Cantorino's insight to the changes in local law 80B. You brought up some very valid points at the last public hearing, and you were on target referencing the 300+ acres already in existence. And I thank you for considering the citizens in your decision-making process. I give you raw dues for doing your homework. And with that said, I still question why change the entire law. We already have the acreage allowed. Why not an amendment to the existing law? I asked the councilman to think about what will be the consequences if this law is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Yes, good evening, very quickly.
Okay, all right.
You sort of brought it up. What I'm a little confused with, you were discussing changes to the existing public hearing, which is now open. Now, without advertising, the new law has not been printed anywhere. I looked everywhere, you can't find it. So how can you discuss, have a public hearing on a document that's never been printed? I was under the impression the original meeting was still open on the floor. Well, I just want clarification. How do you have, you change the law? Okay, that's you have the right to do that, but how do you do that when I have an opportunity to read it? So that's why I was wanting for clarification. How do you do that? Have a public hearing on a document that the public haven't had a chance to read it?
It was on the website. That's what the town clerk just told me. I didn't make it up.
I think, and I'm not here to argue with people, we have official newspapers here in the town of Goshen, and their legal notices are supposed to be posted in those newspapers. They're not in the news. It's nice. How would I know I should check the website? But anyway, I'm not going to argue with you. The process is you advertise the public hearing. So.
We didn't change the law. We amended it. There was no change in the law. We amended
My contention is a change. There's a change in it. I haven't had a chance to read it. So how can I public? How can I form an opinion if I don't know what you changed? So anyway, that's my opinion. Is if you can do it, you're going to do it. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Chris Healy, Town of Goshen. Supervisor Betro, at our last meeting, I think I may have come across as a bit brash in that quick change we had just before. My apologies.
No apology necessary.
I want to say
good banter between us.
I appreciate your and the town board's efforts to clarify some of these issues. To be clear, because a lot was said last time, the law, the amendments that were made, the changes that were made at the last meeting is that we were removing the ADB D, sub D, that 430 acres. We're leaving it at 300 acres.
Correct.
The other changes to the laws, the amendments are there. That's
two items, yes.
Those two items. Mm-hmm. Try as I may, I haven't quite been able to figure out exactly what those changes are required, what's the requirement for them. I think at one point we talked about IWS needing some clarification, and I'm wondering if that was for maybe their DEC permitting.
So, as I understand it, I'm speaking to the attorney, we have an issue here that we have a waste facility that has been operational for 12 years that is not approvable under the existing law. Not their fault that we didn't fix this problem in the last 10 years. We should have fixed the problem. So we have two choices. We can shut them down, or we can amend it so that they're allowed in here. There's no possible way for us to shut us down. Every attorney that I've spoken to said we'd lose in court.
I agree.
You know, you can't shut a business down because you didn't do what you had to do from a code enforcement perspective and take care of it. So as I understand it, this law is exactly the same, except it says with the exception of existing facilities. You can say it's an IWS law, probably because it's the only one that it falls under. I don't want to call it an IWS law, but that's what it is. You know, the IWS is operating right now. I don't want to say they're not operating within the law. So we're changing the law to make sure that they can operate within the law.
Understood. Again, thank you to you, Mr. Supervisor, and the town board members for listening to the public on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good.
Hi. I had a couple of questions. I heard Sean say that he looked at the application from IWS and it was incomplete. I would assume that's for the ADB permit, or is that for the plan?
Yes, that was back in June. They had made a submission, and this board, under the town code, has to respond within a certain number of days. I don't recall what that is. They consider that their last meeting in June. I don't believe it's 5, but once it's complete, then this board is under a time clock to make a decision on that permit. So if it's incomplete, that time clock doesn't start yet.
I have a couple of questions because we're changing the law here, and I have not heard this board, who they have to get the permit from, even if it's incomplete, even discuss it. I haven't seen the application online that was submitted. Did they pay a fee for getting a permit to the town?
I'm sorry, I apologize. The question again? You haven't seen one?
I haven't seen this board discuss the application of IWS for an ADB permit. It's your responsibility. With all due respect to Sean, and I agree it's incomplete, but it's up to this board to discuss it.
Correct.
Yeah. Mr. Supervisor.
I've been to the meetings except for the last meeting, and the one where you said that you're gonna get 200,000 from them, but I haven't seen this board even discuss anything about getting an application, what they're, anything.
I think I can answer that, but I'll lean it over to Sean. I understand from Attorney Norton, the planning board can't continue their process and get through, to come back to us and ask a special permit until we amend this ADB.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, but I think you've summarized it fairly well. The planning board, the applicant has the ability to go to the planning board, which they've done. They went to the planning board for site plan. During that site plan review, the planning board brought up the question of whether modification of their ADB permit is required, right? And that's not in the purview of the planning board. All the planning board can do is, just like if it was a DOT permit, is refer them to this board who has the ADB permit authority. That was a condition of the planning board's approval. So they cannot finalize their planning board approval until they satisfy with this board. They either have to return the planning board with a letter that says the permit isn't necessary, or they have to come back with a permit from you. They're seeking a permit from you. However, the reason for this law right now is that they really don't have standing to be considered, right? When they went through this, they recognized, and if I could just read a very brief sentence, at the very head of section ADB 9, which is criteria for issuance of permits, again, the ADB permit, it says no permit shall be issued for the construction of a solid waste management facility or the modification of a solid waste management facility, unless, and then there's a number of criteria. So that essentially knocks out any ability for grandfathering or existing non-conforming use or anything like that. So they had brought this to your attention back in June, and they had asked, how do we resolve this? And I think the opinion that you received from council was you have to modify your law on 2 particular points: access on a state road or county road, and the lot size.
Right.
So,
That didn't answer my question at all. The thing is, this is a board. You're in charge of this permit as a collective board. And it has to be reviewed by your consultants. There has to be a public hearing. It's a type 1 action. Whether it is, and there's 2 types of permits. There's an operating permit and there's a construction modification. I'm talking about the operating permit right now. Well, actually, you could say both, because it doesn't matter.
Both applications.
If they submit and it's complete, it's valid until you approve it. If it's not complete, they're operating without a permit. But it goes to this board. You guys haven't discussed it at any of the meetings that I've been
But
to.
this law has nothing to do with IWS right now. That's what the confusion is. They still have to come back.
Okay, all right.
They still have to come back and do everything you're saying, yes.
And 1 minute you're saying it's all about IWS.
No,
it
I
doesn't
said,
affect
actually what I said is if you'd like to consider it the IWS law, I understand that, but it's a law that has to satisfy an existing business in this town. That happens to be IWS.
All right, then
So,
Well,
but you're absolutely right.
No, but I would like to hear this board at least discuss stuff instead of at a public hearing. Because everybody seems to be in the dark here.
But-
Okay, that's number one. I won't argue with you,
I'm
okay?
not trying to argue, I'm trying to satisfy your answer so you feel comfortable that, you know, we're trying to get to it. We're not talking about their ADB permit, we're talking about changing.
The law.
We're
For existing.
amending the law so that existing people in the town of Goshen can conform to the new law, that's it. It happens to be
Okay, so-
IWS, you're right.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, right.
Let me ask you this. I'm Joe Schmo, I want to take sludge from New York City, open up a facility where I can dehydrate it and sell it as fertilizer. So I'm gonna go out to the Altury landfill where they used to have a gas site. I'm gonna open it up there. How are you gonna stop me?
They need permits, they need DEC approval, they
Under
need
your
everything.
law, when you change it, how are you gonna
The
stop me?
Altury landfill wouldn't fall underneath the state, still be able to do it because it's on a state highway. This is for somebody that's not on a state highway.
So
No,
Supervisor,
they-
I think
actually, they're
under
not.
ADB, ADB, and I'm sorry for interrupting, I just wanted to answer the question for the supervisor and the board. Under that scenario, I think that they would need a modification of an operating permit and/or a construction permit if they're constructing anything, and they would have to come to you for an ADB permit, either construction and/or operation.
But
Same way
relative to this-
IWS eventually has. It was
Relative
the
to
law
this
change.
law, they wouldn't, if this law wasn't passed, it wouldn't stop them, they're still off of Route 17 now.
Well, this law doesn't obviate the need to get a permit from you, it just says that you need to meet
But I
those
do, I
criteria.
think Sue's point is, how do we stop them if we change this law? Is that the question?
Well, I'm just,
How do you stop
this,
anybody
That
else?
question
that's
exists.
exactly what I'm
How do you stop
saying.
anybody else if you change the law? I'm a little confused on the language.
Well-
That part
Because
too is-
the back properties of Altury landfill actually goes, I believe, to Hartley Road.
It
The
does.
other part is a landfill proper, so maybe at the very bottom you might be able to go out, but the bridge is there, I don't think you're gonna get access, so I'm just saying, for instance,
Respectfully, I think that problem already exists with the law that's already in place. That's what the supervisor's saying. If you're in your scenario, they would technically, they would have the buttress against a state road, right? And they would still have to come here for the permit process.
but our current permit wouldn't allow them to do it because of the 300 acres.
Okay, so then I guess you don't have to worry about it.
Well, then IWS can't get a permit because of the 300 acres either, because
They're already in the 300 acres. They're an existing solid waste facility inside the 300 acres.
That's why the 300 acres,
I think they've exceeded that.
Well, that's your math, I'm not saying- I don't-
They've already expanded into the landfill property, so therefore they've already,
Yeah.
I think you want to hear from IWS on that, and I think the time to hear from IWS is if and when they get to a public hearing for their ADB permit.
Right, correct.
Right now, the local law really is only making two changes, and they're basically deal with the state highway, county road, and then the individual lot size, not the aggregate lot size.
my
So-
point is, I think you're opening up the door to let the cows in right now. I really do, and I think this board collectively should be sitting down and, I'm sorry, it's a public hearing. You might disagree with me, but
well, you've asked a series of questions, and every time someone goes to answer, I'm just trying to clarify. I want you to have the answer. I'm not, I think it's important that we all have clarity on it. So what I'm saying is that law has been in existence for quite some time. The spirit of that law, since you can't go back and watch the video of it, one would presume that at the individual lot size, if you add them all up, are an aggregate of 300, and IWS has been existing the whole time, just didn't add in the one caveat of the buttress against a town road, that they were supposed to be included in this. And there's members of this dais that were there, there's members of the planning board that are in this audience right now that were part of that whole planning process that probably could speak to it better than us recounting something that, but if you go with the spirit of it and you think about why that number is the number, right? One would presume that IWS was supposed to be included in that. I mean, I don't know, people were around during that time, maybe they could speak on it.
Kenny Bolt was around.
I don't know, I don't know.
There was actually an 80A that was never, when the original law was made, that was never filed with the Department of State, and that's the reason why we had the ADB and the whole thing went
Right.
through. and that's part
So
of
this
it.
is almost like ADC, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could say that.
Right.
And it was a good law that was written, it's still a good law.
I understand the slippery slope argument. I mean, that's like one of the greatest
but-
attorney arguments you can make, and I appreciate it. I'm just trying to say the idea here is to quell those concerns. So those questions are very valid, and I guess I'm jumping in to try to help clear it up. It's not to cut you off. Okay? So please.
It seemed like it was cutting off,
Well,
I'm sorry.
I mean,
But that's-
we're all both passionate about what we're doing here,
Yes.
right? So it
That's
wasn't meant
fair enough.
disrespectfully, all right? If it came across that way, I apologize.
But I think you're making a big mistake. I think your 300 acres is well past, because also solid waste, our law refers to the solid waste, DEC, I believe, when you read the definition of solid waste, it goes back to DEC, and that law has expanded, and I would imagine.
But that ship hasn't sailed. There's still that, and I think that's what Mr. Hoffman's getting at. That public hearing still got to take place. That permit process still has to take place. That vetting process of the 300 still has to take place. IDWS, arguably, I think, if it was your business, you would want to have a chance to advocate, right? That's not here yet.
I'm not trying to pick on IWS. I'm simply trying to open your eyes and say, look what you're about to do here. You can say, well, Algeria landfill is not in existence. You can argue that Orange County landfill is not in existence or closed. But there's also case law that has proved, as long as you're collecting leachate, as long as you're getting air, it's still a landfill.
Feel free to forward me the case law.
Actually-
I'd be happy to look at it, and that's not
Actually, it went to
always
John
happy.
Capella to help fight the Algeria landfill for them saying that they were overassessed. So I do have the case law, but you
Sure.
can look it up on the case of Goshen. But anyway, I won't take up any more
No,
of your time.
but what's the alternative here? If you don't pass
I
the
mean-
law, the alternative is.
I think you could put it into, if you have the correct wording, I think it is possible to put in that it's gonna be the footprint of a facility that is currently operating and accepting solid waste.
So you
that
you
would
want a
prob-
more definitive answer that we're doing it for IWS, so that nobody else can come in here.
Correct.
Yes.
Those tweaks, I guess I was talking on a macro level, so this isn't putting this on Attorney Naughton. I didn't draft the specific semantics of it,
understand that.
so I can appreciate that stuff for the clarity of it. So objectively, if we're reading this in 10 years and someone's trying to come in, that it's understood, that stuff, those are important tweaks. So I don't have any issue with that. I just want to make sure we understand what the spirit of what's trying to be done here and what this particular procedural posture is. It's not the permit process, right? So, cart and horse here. So those suggestions, Mr. Gersbach, your suggestions will certainly be relayed back to Attorney Naughton with my thoughts as well. So that stuff totally.
That's
But
fair.
Susan, let me share from a perspective of as a board member, okay? When this was presented to us, okay, the location and size of the solid management facility really didn't get a permit, okay? They have employees up there, they owe us $200,000 of back money that they did. They give us $1 a ton for each ton they process, all these kind of things. And so this was a way of just them, getting them where they've got a permit to continue on and do the things. And the two things that were involved were the location, being, and then the size of the solid waste management facility itself. So I think from my vantage point, I was saying, well, okay, we'll work through this, but we're going to save jobs and we're going to continue this income for the town of Goshen. And that was about where I was at when we finished the discussion. So tonight I hear some additional things, like where is it with the planning board and so forth and so on, which I was not aware of where they're at. Okay.
No, and I think it's just very important to have the proper language in here. And I would ask you, I'm sorry, we've been through, I would ask you to please Discuss it among yourselves and come up with something that works.
Well, we did,
We've
but,
been chewing this thing up. I can't tell you how many hours I've had.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I have
So
a
their
question
only
too.
concern is to make sure that, we understand we're doing because IWS was left out of the original.
right.
But can we build something in the law that says not for, with the exception of existing facilities and not allowing for any new facilities, the purpose of this facility to adjoin the right of way of an existing state highway? Can you say you're not going to allow any new solid waste facilities?
I think you have already done that in the law, and the portion that you had removed regarding the aggregate acres.
And you've also got a secondary, sorry,
No,
Phil,
no, go ahead.
you got a secondary layer of protection, which is, even if somehow the doomsday scenario that's presented comes through, there's still the last line of protection, which is the permit process.
Yeah, I'd like to get through this meeting though.
I'm with you.
So, you know,
Again, I read laws different, and I don't want to say, like, I think it's satisfactory, I do, but I understand that, you know, existing and no new, to me, it's redundant. To maybe someone else reading it, maybe it's not, so
is there a problem with putting a no new?
I never, I don't like being delivered some question like that in the middle, but I think there's no issue with it. I think we already have it. I think Sean will tell you that. He knows the code front and back. I think we've got layers of protection where nobody can come in here without multiple layers being satisfied, and with different boards viewing that, not just one board with at least two boards that would have to go through that. Then you have the general public, and then you have the elective process. But I'm not comfortable just giving a rubber stamp on that. But I would suggest yes, that would be doable.
So I would like to chime in.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. I just felt
Right now, it's
my.
good. So I'm just a little confused because based on what I thought before I came here, and this is my question. If a new facility comes in, it's on the state highway, they are no less than 10 acres and more than 50 acres, and they do when they apply. The only stopgap for a new facility to get the approval, because it's in here, they meet all this criteria, is the 300 acres. Now, if we've already surpassed the 300 acres, and they use that as a precedent and say, you already have that, why would you decline my application? Because it says in here, I'm on a state highway, and that's what I'm confused about the wording, and I do meet that 10-acre criteria and the 50-acre criteria. What's next?
Well,
so
I don't know if you want me to. I mean, my answer is going to be probably wishier, washier than you want. But over the time that we've worked together, I know you always have a good eye on what our exposure is to the word that ends in Asian, right? It starts with lit, right? Okay, so I think you're exposed either way, always. But I personally, on that brief hypothetical, which is always dangerous because there's millions of different things that go along with that. No, I don't think so. But
you don't think that
that's a hypothetical that's very, very closed. I would say apply it, and you tell me how you would get around that, how you get around the current setup.
Meet the zoning criteria.
Phil, the only thing I can say in that regard is that you are at no more risk with the adoption of this law than you are currently, because this law only changes and makes exceptions for existing facilities.
Right.
So whatever concern you have
have
it today, whether you adopt this law or not.
It excludes existing facilities.
Currently it doesn't.
The current law does.
Right.
This changes that to allow for existing facilities to exist.
But it doesn't eliminate
new facilities.
No, neither does the old law.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if we have a law, I'm looking for the protection. This thing is just geared.
Well, I think the aggregate is where you.
The aggregate is protection, but once again, we've already.
Well, you can't spot zone. I mean, that you start to get, so you have an aggregate which protects you on I think, which is what.
So anybody coming in with a new application, we would use the aggregate based on the law. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is the language of the law may be should probably be more protective to make sure that there are no other facilities, and I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can say no new facilities in the town of Goshen dealing with waste products is allowed, period. I mean, I don't know. But I'm
Generally,
saying with this language, it still doesn't protect us from someone new coming in that meets the criteria that's in this law.
Generally, when
I
a
think our
particular,
It's a
current law
question,
has
that's all
gone,
it is.
I think the current law has also gone through quite a few lawsuits and
Yes.
been upheld.
It has.
And that's
Now we're just-
what's kind of nice.
Yeah, and now we're changing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
I
kind of
understand, I
scary.
understand it. But if we're changing it, I want to make sure we change it, so we are protected.
I mean,
anyway.
I don't know how to answer that right off.
Yeah.
That's a fair question, Phil. I think this is certainly an improvement,
Yeah.
but to start, and that doesn't mean it's wholly complete. I mean, this law sat there for how long and
Yeah.
with, you know, but it's worth a look at that. I would like an opportunity to talk to Sean and Kelly.
And we may not be able to do anything, I'm just saying, I just point that out.
No, it's fair. I
jumped
think it's a
off
good
the
point.
page at me. And then now I'll ask Sean, and maybe I'm getting ahead of my skis, I'm gonna try not to, that they have conditional approval for IW waste, for what, 670 tons?
no, the planning board does not get involved really with the operation of the facility. That's you. They get involved with, as you know, and for the benefit of the public, the requirements under your zoning code relative to site plans, setbacks, things of that nature, site
Okay.
distances on exits and things like that. Right?
So
This
now-
board would discuss if and when INS comes to you, and I think they want to come to you, and I think they're waiting for this. Correct.
They're waiting for this law to pass before they can put the
Right,
application.
but there's an agreement in process that states specific number of tons and
Signed.
so on. And, yeah, but I'm not sure if we're all gonna agree on that type of tonnage or whatever, so.
And I think
haven't
that's
seen
a
the new
valid-
agreement. I haven't, what?
I'm sorry, I think that's a very valid concern,
Yeah,
but what I think is that is something for the discussion with IWS. You know,
fine, yeah.
Yeah.
as
I
part of
do.
their permit. yeah.
I agree. But we already have an agreement in place, new one that I haven't seen, that people are signing. And I'm like, wait a minute.
To authorize me to
Yeah,
negotiate the agreement.
to negotiate the agreement, right.
That's what I did.
Well, that agreement that was negotiated, I'm not totally comfortable with, yet. I told you that, I talked to Kelly the other day.
You're comfortable with you're not comfortable with the host community fee.
Well, that's part of it, and the recyclables that they're taking out, and I know they already do 600,
640 tons.
40
per day.
tons, or 600 tons plus 70 recyclable. They're already doing that, they said, President, we didn't stop them. So I know
I think
legally we're gonna be in trouble if we stop them.
you might be in
Right.
front of your skis on this one, because it's really,
I
right
am
now,
in
we're
front
trying
of
to,
my
I love that term, by
I'm
the way.
waiting for
I'm
it.
incorporating that into my,
I know what I have written down, and I know the direction I'm in, I mean.
no, but in all seriousness, I think you're
Yeah.
improving the law, and it can be improved again. It can, you know, if it's, but I don't think
Okay.
this doesn't walk IWS into anything other than the opportunity maybe to be heard by, you know, in front of
Yeah,
the board
yeah.
here, so.
Okay, I'm good.
No, I just wish that you guys would discuss this a little further and leave this open until you can maybe get different verbiage, I guess
But-
is what I'm looking at.
Okay, so let me give you a scenario then.
Yeah.
If do you believe that the current law, iteration of this law, is an improvement over the existing law?
Current,
What's before this board to adopt?
no, I don't, because I think it needs different verbiage, because, for instance, Doug, you were on the planning board, Kenny was on the planning board, when we had 3 expansion applications for Altuari, one after another.
Uh-huh.
We had Superior Waste, we had Vinvendi, and we had Altuari.
Okay.
They worked out some deal with a town board where nobody could discuss it or vote against it. I mean, while you're saying that there's always a backdrop, they have to go for a permit and
Right.
everything, that sounds great, but it's not always the case. And this law at least protects the people of Goshen, and that's what everybody on this board is supposed to do.
Again, I'll re-ask you the question, so I
Okay.
can be clear. The current law that's on the books, you
The-
believe,
The current one that's in existence right now, not
You-
the
In
proposed.
existence, not this law.
Not the one that's proposed, the one that's in existence, you believe to be a better layer of protection than the one that's proposed.
Yes.
All right.
And I think if you change the verbiage, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it, but that's just.
You want an expansion on what existing means?
Yes, I do, because I don't want people coming up and saying the Algery landfill or Orange County landfill,
Okay.
their property,
So
we can
if
put it on now.
So,
Because technically, they're existing, they have solid waste permits, they're collecting leachate.
I understand. I was just asking so I understood where the feedback was, so I could provide it to the other attorneys.
Thanks for listening, I'm sorry.
No one claps for me. Thank you. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Mike.
kitty class.
Carolyn Carr. I come to these meetings because Huges, I did not want Huges. Last week you read, or last meeting you read, it's a thing that they have pulled their application. I think that all of this, that all you're talking about is smoke and mirrors, because when you change your verbiage and you put it on the highway, they're gonna go in there, okay? At first they were going in, so I think that all of this to confuse the public is ridiculous. I think that it should not do anything, and I don't think you should have that. We should have any new facilities anywhere, not on Altori, anywhere. And if you can't get a permit for an existing place, there's something wrong with Goshen, okay? Because you should contain and run that business or have that business run correctly before you change the law and slightly might get the chance that you can get Huges in.
It's actually used, just so you know.
Huge, whatever it is, sir. I'm just saying that I think you're trying to change the law to get that company in. And I don't think, I think we come here for that and we always talk about something different. Don't smirk at me. I'm just telling you the feeling. It does.
No, it
Because
doesn't.
they pulled
It
their
does not.
application and they'll put it right back.
No, they didn't. They didn't just pull their application.
I think the DEC said if the law was changed, and that was the first law, so now we're changing this
All
law.
right, I can
I don't
chime in.
need to talk about, I just am telling you
Well,
how I
when
feel
you're
and how
challenging,
most of the
when you're
public
challenging
feels.
the integrity of people, and this was suggested by the legal counsel,
Mm-hmm.
that we have an issue, I think my voice is important,
But
okay?
last week it was told and it pulled, and it's on hold. So
No, it's
that's
not.
what my concern
No, it's
is.
not.
If you're gonna come up and you're gonna challenge the integrity of the supervisor, and I'm the one who brought this to the attention of the supervisor with certain things about permits that are not currently operating functionally, and you have people that we're on this board, we're in this audience, right? And you're gonna do that, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna say that that's incorrect, okay? With all due respect.
But you also put your opinion all the time, and it's not what the law says or that. You
It's
always
your
stated
opinion, that's my opinion.
So I am
But
stating
just-
my opinion
or
to the
just
board.
for your own, they did pull the application and their money was refunded. That letter went out, it's in the newspaper today.
There's another letter?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Today. Wasn't in when you read the
Okay.
letter though. That's all I have to say.
Right.
It wasn't in before.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you.
Good evening, all. How are you? Steve Betancourt, Goshen. I just want a clarification. I'm sorry, I don't understand the law, how it works, but I'm just turning this upside down so that we can see it from a different point of view regarding a new facility. If the existing facility were to relinquish some of that acreage, I'm just bringing up a scenario. Would that allow a new facility to come in to make up the 300?
No.
Okay. that's what I
They
wanted to know.
exist currently on less than 3 acres. And the new law says you have to be between 10 and 50. So anything they do over there, if they close down, they're done. They're out of Goshen.
Are you talking about the regular landfills?
Yeah,
They're existing already, so they can't relinquish any profit.
perfect.
I know what you're saying.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I just want to turn it on its head.
It is.
To make
Yeah,
sure
no, it's
we're
good.
covered. Yeah,
Good, good, great question.
yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. All right.
I know, you know me.
Anybody else like to speak? Neil?
Thank you. I was here in 2004, so I think most of what you were saying is really right on. The law was certainly put there, and certainly there was no intention at that point in time to stop IWS from working. The intention was IWS was still going to be there. That was the expression. That was the expectation entirely. The 300 acres was put in there with the recognition that we had over 400 probably, And we probably, I know when we were originally doing this law, it was 427 existing acres, something like that. So for another operation to open up, the thought was you have to, 127 acres has to stop working. So until that happens, no new facility can come in. No, it's not necessarily saying no facilities are allowed, it's just not at this current time. Interesting. Okay. I have a number of comments about IWS, but that's not for tonight. The one comment I had about this law, I know I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there. But the one comment I do have about this law is, there's one thing to have access on a or not access, and one thing to have be adjacent to a state road. It's another question is to have access to it. So if I were to be abutted to a state road, but only had access to a town road, I don't think that was your intention. And I'm not saying anybody's doing that right now, but certainly we had that problem with even Route 17. We have many properties in town that abut 17 but have no access to 17, never will have access to 17.
Right, can't get a DOT permit.
Right, so if you're gonna talk about having, being abutting at state or county road, you probably mean that they should also be able to have access to a state or county road.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay.
I think I might have muddled those words when I was saying buttressing and stuff like
Okay,
that. So that might have put.
Well, good enough.
Thank you. No, that's a very.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Neil. Anybody else? No? June, look like you want to say something. All right, with that being said, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Are we closing it, or are we going to
No.
send it back to Kelly?
Yeah, I mean,
I think we need to.
I should provide some additional feedback to Mrs. Martin. Just to tweak, I think there's certainly
I'm confused.
about how to just pin down the existing and satisfy that portion. I think it's.
All right, so then,
It doesn't necessarily. I mean, it doesn't.
so
Like
motion to continue the public hearing?
Yeah, it's not gonna.
Next meeting?
Yeah.
Well,
With,
now, if it gets rewritten again, do I have to republish it? Do we have
no,
to do
I
it?
personally, I think that's.
Just want that clarified for the public.
Thanks.
So, it's part of the legislative process on local laws, and Rory can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that, you know, this is a modification that you're going through as part of your legislative process. When the law gets amended, it would have to be with you for at least a week before you can take any action on it, right? So my recommendation, if you're gonna hold the public hearing open, and that doesn't sound like it's just a very clear-cut change, there might be some back and forth, you may want to actually push the public hearing out a little bit further to give time for that writing, and then for you to have it for the statutory time period you're supposed to have it for.
That would require me to swing the law back to you by Wednesday or Thursday of next week.
Yeah.
So second meeting in October?
Yeah, not the same one as the, not the
It's
November
gonna be
thing.
this,
How long can we keep it?
Not
open?
December 25th.
would be October 24th,
That's
would be
fine.
our next.
Yeah,
All right, so
that would give me a little time, myself and Sean, to work
Yeah.
with Kelly
so
on it.
motion
get
to
you
keep the
guys.
public hearing open until the October 24th date. Can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Mr. Supervisor, just one last thing to answer the clerk's question. Mary, I am unsure if there is a requirement for re-noticing public hearing. I know with planning board applications, there is not, but I would just either check with Rory or Kelly after the meeting.
Right. Neil had his hand.
I agree with Sean. I think that as long as it's adjourned towards a date, then I think that that's considered to be adequate notification. So everybody who wants to know about the one is here tonight,
Right.
and they now hear when it's going to be adjourned to.
Just want everybody to be clear.
I'll confirm that, but it seems like a logical.
And everybody who's in the room should look for the new law online the week before.
Yes.
The thing I'm still unclear about is the republishing. If we're changing this local law and we're making, it doesn't seem to be substantive, but we are making changes in the law, does it have to be republished and, you know,
Started over.
published?
I think only if the spirit of what we were doing changed from the original publication, but again, I don't think that's going on right now. I think we already made, the substantive change has already been presented, which is, let's say, existing, right? And now we're just defining well, not, I don't want to,
No.
what we just did, right, which is making sure that that term and the spirit of that is understood and clear. So I don't believe that it would, I don't think we're doing anything different than we did tonight.
Right.
Just representing.
So before that meeting, how are we getting the word out to the public so we don't have the same thing that happened?
Right.
I think that's what Neil just addressed. I mean, we're here for the public hearing addressing this law, right? And there's been a discourse going on for quite some time now. And now it's being announced when the next public hearing is. I don't want to say.
So are we saying because everybody is here that it's extending the public
How
hearing?
about I just,
Those about it?
how about I'll just get you a firm answer in the next day or so. I was going off of the spirit of what, you know, someone
So
who's
if we
done
have
this
to, we'll
longer
just-
than I have said.
If we have to, we'll just advertise it in.
Yeah.
Or at least publish it on the website so people can go in and look at the.
Well, that we did today, that was on the website, but
I just want,
Whatever
I'll
changes
have
we
the
make.
law, I'll have the law on the
Right.
website a week before the 24th,
Yes,
There you go.
and I'll send it out on Connect Goshen.
and then I'll confirm whether it needs to be republished, okay?
It'll be in my
And then-
office,
All right?
Jean.
thank you. Item number 2, introductory law 12, 2024, to allow the town of Goshen to adopt a budget for fiscal year commencing January 25th that requires the real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law 3. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody from the public like to speak?
Never miss an opportunity. At the last meeting, we said that the tax levy was to cover some expenses that seem to have exploded, health insurance, and there was something else?
State retirement.
State
State retirement, health insurance, general liability insurance.
Since I give my opinion on just about everything else, I think it would be irresponsible for the board not to sign this increase, as, you know, this is a very big town, it's a big business, and some of these expenses are just simply unavoidable, and our people need to be taken care of, health insurance and pension, so I support signing the law.
Appreciate it.
Don't you have some updates on that, Joe, that you want to talk about or not?
Well, I mean, we originally talked that, you know, we were somewhere in the 10% range. And now we're down to, Jen, what are we down to? Christine, what are we down to?
1.94?
Yeah.
What?
1.94?
1.94, so we're under the 2% tax levy.
Yeah, that's big. You're under the 2% tax levy.
Well, I
lead with
still think we need to pass it because we haven't finalized it yet, but we're
That's the tax
not, we're
rate.
over.
Yeah, that's the tax
We're over
rate.
the tax
We're
levy.
over the tax levy limit. The actual increase in taxes is under 2%.
Right.
But the way the state measures the tax levy limit, we're over that.
Okay.
The tax is under the 2%.
Yep, and I think we owe a debt of gratitude to those two women right there that helped get it down where it is today. So, thank you very much.
And again, you noted this last time, but this is an annual thing. This
Yep,
isn't,
every
this,
year.
you know,
Yeah.
it's got to be revisited each time, so.
All right, anybody else like to speak? No, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So just gonna leave.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Chris. For your support.
So, we need a
Job, ladies.
motion,
And
got it
adopt,
down
the
anyway.
motion to adopt.
I need a motion to adopt local law 12 and
It's gonna be
20.
local law 9 of 2024. Put the line up the numbers,
So can I have a motion to
adopt.
adopt local law 9 of 2024?
So moved.
Second, need a roll call?
Yes, please.
I said just do a roll call on every one of them, and that way,
That's what Monroe does.
you know, it just
That's
seems
what Monroe
like,
does.
yeah, it's,
And that's what Phil does.
that's what I know, Phil does it anyway.
Council, I got Rick and Phil. Councilmember Cantorino.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyon.
Aye.
Councilmember Florio.
All right.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Aye.
Supervisor Petrick.
Aye. Okay, item number 3 for discussion. Review and discuss the town of Goshen's 2022 tentative budget.
2025.
What did I say, 2022?
2022.
Gotta wear my glasses tomorrow. 3 looks like the 5, sorry, I apologize. The town of Goshen
3 looks like
2025
5,
tentative
you
budget. The budget's been supplied to everybody, as I said,
Oh, my God.
you know, the tax-wide change, the village has gone down 1.04%. The town has gone up 9.25%, both under the 2% cap. An interesting point here is a lot of the issues we have with, is it the county, Christine, that lowers the assessed value? How does that work?
The state.
No, I think it's the county that does.
They changed the equalization rate
The
to
equalization rate.
reflect the increase in market values.
Right.
But the equalization rate is done by the state.
Yeah, it dropped by, assessed values dropped by over 1%
Right.
of market value,
Okay.
which affects these. Anybody have any questions on it? We've gone through it multiple times.
We have, we all have.
Well, you know, I'd like to comment on this in a way. When we look at medical insurance, look at liability insurance, some of these things are just, and retirement costs, you can't, it's almost like you didn't plan for it all year long, and all of a sudden the bills come in and this happens, and you're, holy Christmas, how did this happen? And so, I looked at all the numbers, I went cross-eyed with them, and we finally got it down. I mean, for example, none of the elected officials are going to get a raise this year, saves money, things like that we do to get it down to where it's plausible. But my concern is, again, even once we're in 2025, we've got to watch our spending, because we don't know what some of these are going to be at the end of the year. For example, like retirement again, or whatever it might be. Just as I love the budget, I really do. I'm as tight as the bark on a tree. I like to be well below the threshold. And this one, I was jarred when I read these numbers. And we people who have houses, or you have a fire in this or that, the fact is, when you hire someone today to repair something, is so expensive to have people come and do that. That's why the rates are going up, for whatever it's worth. Okay. Just had to say.
Second up.
Okay.
Anybody else like to speak? No?
No.
All right, so could I have a motion to adopt the Town of Goshen 2025 tentative budget as the Town 2025 preliminary budget?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll do a roll.
No, we didn't roll call on this one.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Floria.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons.
Aye.
Councilmember Cantorino.
Aye.
Supervisor Petra.
Aye. Next, I need a motion to set a public hearing on the Town of Goshen 2025 preliminary budget on August 24th.
No, not August.
I'm sorry, October 24th. Going backwards. I apologize.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
August 24th, 2025.
So moved.
October 24th, 2024.
So moved on October.
So move. Okay.
Second.
Bill and Doug. Councilmember Floria. Councilmember Cantorino.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons.
Aye.
Councilmember Floria.
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Aye.
Supervisor Petra.
Aye.
Can you turn all your name tags towards me?
Next item on the agenda is to review and discuss the procurement policy. This was brought up in the comprehensive review report, correct?
Right.
So we have a policy in place that has a cap at $20,000 for any professional services that we have to bring to the company going out to bid on it.
There is something like, under police, it says Alan Faust, he doesn't work anymore, we gotta scratch
Yeah.
that one off.
What's that on?
That's on page 1.
One.
State of the procurement policy
Adopting
on
a
the police.
procurement policy.
Yes. So, what the issue that arose was Chairman Cantorino, who heads up the Comprehensive Review Board, has requested that we go out and get a traffic consultant to do a traffic study as part of the overall comprehensive plan, which we all agree. So that number is going to be well in excess of $20,000. So the problem that we have is you go out to an RFP and let's just say for argument's sake, ABC Company is the lowest bidder. We have no idea who they are, and yet we have our traffic consultant who knows our town, knows all the laws in our town, has sat and responded to most of these traffic studies that come along with 17 and every place else. So we made a change in the provision of the law that allows for us to not have to go out to bid on professional services that are required for things that we're doing in the town, utilizing the existing consultant that we have on the planning board.
It's standard too.
So, any questions?
Any public hearing? No?
No.
No.
No, it's just a change.
I'll do a roll call. You want to do the motion?
Well, I'm asking if anybody has any questions. George, any questions?
I knew you were.
No, other than that, point
Make the
out.
motion, man.
Yeah, on the condition that scratch.
Yeah, from scratch out, how fast that, right?
Joe's gonna make the motion?
No,
Okay.
No, I
No.
can't make the motion.
You can't make the motion?
you're not making a motion.
I'll make the motion.
There you go.
What motion are you making, Greg?
Making a motion to accept the procurement policy changes that have been made.
There you go.
Second?
Second.
Who made the motion?
George and Doug.
Okay.
Councilman Bloomfield,
Aye.
Councilmember Florio, Councilmember Lyons,
Aye.
Councilmember Angelina,
Aye.
Supervisor Becker.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the H2O report on the water districts. This is going to be long. The following is a small list of gallons of water produced, gallons of sewage pumped to the village of Goshen, issues that come up during the month, and items the town should look into for the future for each development. Stonehenge produces 166,000 gallons of water with an average of 5,366 gallons a day. Stonehenge 1 runs on one well and still needs backup as per the Department of Health. A well has been drilled called well number 3, but was never approved by the Department of Health. The town needs to start looking into replacing the tank for the system, as current tanks are between 1 and 20,000 gallons and 1 and 15,000 gallons. Tanks buried at the top of the hill, and the life expectancy. Now, they're probably unfamiliar with the fact that Young's Grove is going in right behind Stonehenge, so this is something that we probably can push off until they come in, because they're going to supply water to Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Same with well 3 being drilled and the part 5 being done. We may be able to push that off. However, the Department of Health did send a very stern letter to us that they want to see that well up and operational in the near future.
Well, the reason why we didn't do it in the past is it's very expensive, and we had other emergency things that had to spend money on.
So it'll become an emergency when they crack the whip on us.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah,
They
so,
are pretty
I mean,
close.
but I agree. It's,
But
you know,
I mean,
that gives
I'll write a
tickets.
letter back to Steve Gagnon and see if there's a way that we could possibly extend this to the point where once Young's Grove comes in, they're going to be supplying water. I don't know what that time frame is, but we'll gather that information.
Well, we can still use our water, but they're gonna have the tank that would cover both Stonehenge and Young
Correct.
Grove.
No, correct.
It's a prudent thing to do.
No, absolutely, but if they push the envelope on it, we may be forced to do the part 5 and get the well operational. We'll see. Scotchtown does about 209,000 gallons of water with an average of 6,749 gallons a day. The pressure tank pinhole leak that's in it needs to be welded. We can't weld it, so we have an emergency situation here. The Board of Health won't allow pressure tank to be welded, correct?
Correct.
So we have an emergency situation here where we have to change either put a new tank in or change and replace it with a VFD system. We're probably going to be changing it with a VFD system. All the parts have been ordered. We are changing it to a VFD system. All the parts have been ordered, and we hope to have this thing done in the very near future to satisfy that situation. Goshen Little League produces about 6,800 gallons of water with an average of 219 gallons a day. No major issues there. Hamiltonian Park Heritage produces a total of 992,000 gallons between well 4 and well 8H, with an average of 32,000 gallons a day. Sewer pump to the village is 1,291,000 gallons to the village, with an average of 41,652 gallons a day. And that is a tremendous amount of I&I.
Yeah, big I.
So that, as part of our overall package, when we get to it, we'll have to start looking at going back and re-sleeving some of these. We probably, our best bet is probably to get it cambered first to see where the bad ones are during the storm.
No, we cambered it, and all the lines need to be done, and so we just do them.
Understood, but I don't know who has the data on that, but if we have the data, we can look at it.
Yeah, we should,
Sean was here, no, it was Fusco when we did this. But we, a lot of homes were hooked into their vents.
Yep, we took care of all of that.
We took care of all that. Then we rebuilt all of the manholes because they were leaking out water in for I&I. And then this one, we just decided we were gonna do so many linear feet every year.
Until it's done.
Well, we haven't done that in the last couple of years, so.
Right, so we just
have
need to pick up where we're
So
doing
I'm
it.
hoping that we can look at the ones that have larger issues that are more water into it.
I think they're all bad.
Arcadia Hills is like $700,000 gallons away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the other one.
I think Sean will do, he's been working on this with me for 2 years.
Sorry.
We've been just doing it and going, okay.
On a very positive note, the green sand system has begun to install. We've had our first meeting out there last week. They're deploying on Monday. All of the filters for both Heritage and Hamiltonian Park have been ordered. We hope to be done in 180 days, and every resident of those two developments will be able to remove their, or at least stop using their in-house filters, because all of their water would be filtered from all magnesium and iron.
Yeah, that's great.
So there's a big CapEx project. It'll be part of the cost will be part of the water and sewer meeting that we have to have.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it on the H2O report. Anybody have any questions on that?
Nope.
You have Arcadia, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well,
That's just this. Yeah, so they produce 1.2 million gallons between the 50s and High House with an average of 40,000 gallons a day. Sewer pump pumps out 2 million gallons, so in excess of almost 800,000 gallons a day to the village.
that's what I said. 750,000.
We did fix High House. We performed. Delaware did a as-built for High House, so that's up and operational. All the plumbing was done. We are now in the process of looking at what it's going to cost to add green sand filtration to the 50s, 20s, and 80s, I believe. I think those are the three. 3 separate and distinct systems, because we can't tie everything together. Cost would be astronomical. We had to dig up all those roads.
One of the things in regard to the I&I, we've had dry summers for the last 2 summers. If we get into a real period of a lot of rain, a lot of snow, we're going to just have to spend the money and get those lines lined.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's we have our grant company diligently working. We started the process today with the state for the drinking water system. Sean was not here. Sean was involved in it, but they're helping us to put a plan together to make sure our groundwater is secure around, so there's no contamination to the wells. We have probably more issues than most people, because we have 2 existing landfills that are both close to the Walk Hill River, which supplies a lot to the aquifer. So this is a good program, and there's 0 cost to the residents of the town of Goshen. The state of New York is picking up that tab. For all engineering, for all everything. At the end of the 6 months, we'll have a full plan laying out all of our systems, all of the water around our systems and giving determination as where the potential liabilities could be to that aquifer. So, yeah, good things happening there.
Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda is to review and approve the September 12th, 2024 Town Board meeting minutes. Anybody have any questions on it?
Nope.
So can I have that motion?
So moved?
George and Doug.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Review and approve the 2024 adopted budget for consolidated sewer districts. This is just adding the two districts similar to what we did for the water district, where we added 4 together. Just consolidates both of them in. Any questions on that? Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Oh, you need a roll call,
I
please?
think we're gonna need roll call, right?
I would suggest roll call.
Okay, you know, on town board minutes? Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna go
Yeah,
down the
okay.
line,
Yeah.
it just seems
Doesn't
just,
I don't remember your name.
Councilperson Bloomfield.
Councilman.
Aye.
Councilmember
says aye. Okay, there you go.
Councilmember
That's Mayor.
Lyon. Councilmember Cantorino.
Would you like some?
Supervisor Petro.
Okay,
That
finance,
adds 10 minutes to every meeting now.
finance.
Discussing whether we should do it or not, they could have been done.
Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay the accounts payable check run for September 26, 2024 in the amount of $631,579.09.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Councilmember Cantorino.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyon.
Aye.
Councilmember
No
Florio.
one asked me.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Aye.
Supervisor Petro.
Aye. Information purposes, Budget Officer Christine Cavallari submitted an AP check run for 9/12/24. That's attached. She also submitted a monthly financial report for June of 2024. That is also attached. Any questions on those?
Nope.
All right. With that note, I will open the floor to any comments that the public has.
Smith, Goshen. I'd just like to do a little review of the ambulance tax district. It seems like this started about 8-10 months ago. We found out that the ambulance corps was in a deep hole, and they wanted to see what the board could do. The future didn't look good for it. So I thought when we initially started out, we were going to investigate what can be done about this. Excuse me. Seems to me we've taken on one course and only one course, and that's the tax district. We've been pushed that way since the second or third meeting. Now, has anything else been considered?
I'm not sure what we can consider other than the tax district. I mean,
Well,
either way, it'll come from the residents, you know, it's a line item in our budget.
No,
or tax
I
district.
understand that. I understand.
Mhm.
You know, we're gonna have to raise taxes. If we're gonna give more to an organization, we're gonna have to take in more.
Mhm.
But originally, I thought we were gonna see if, what we could do to keep control of the ambulance corps.
That's what we're doing.
We did.
Well,
We've done that. The fact is, they're having to pay more and more of their help. They don't get volunteers. And so the cost is going
so,
up.
I think your question, Bob, will it be similar to the fire district where we have no control? No, that's not the answer. We will have total control of this. You know, they'll have to come to us every year for approval of their budget. They're not just gonna be able to say, okay, we're gonna charge the district $1 million because we want 5 new ambulances.
do we have any idea of what things cost? I mean, like, we're talking about paramedics and stuff. We have any idea what a paramedic costs for a year, or 24/7, or how many buses are we gonna keep this base? If we're gonna run 2 ambulances, is it wise to keep this base? I mean,
I think those are all questions that
We
will be
haven't answered
presented.
any of
And depends on which municipalities participate as well.
Yeah, right,
That'll
that's the
affect
rule.
costs.
So I don't think like you said, I think it's way out into 2026 before this even gets adopted. So I think we got a year.
Well,
to pass all those
it was 10
things.
months ago that I thought we were all,
It kinda-
almost all of us were agreed, we're gonna do everything we can to avoid a tax district.
And we can still look at that. I just think
That's my point, we're not looking at anything else.
We were looking at line items, just
We're
making
looking
it
at a line item amount that may be
Right,
needed.
giving him an amount, we're looking at that.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I discussed that when I met with the ambulance corps,
But
thinking that might be the way to go, but we need to listen as far as, I wasn't here when they presented.
Well, I can only tell you, it seems to me that we're just being pushed to a tax district and that's the end of it. That's the way it seems to me, that we're hurtling down that road and.
I think there's one or two options that we can look at. A tax district or a line item built into the
Right.
budget. Either way, the
Or a
taxpayer.
taxing authority.
I
Or taxing authority, and we deep six that one right away, like the fire company.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no. So the only two options
I
is those
understand
two
that.
options.
Yeah. Right.
Either way, the town residents are gonna pay for it, whether it's one item in the budget or it's a tax district. And either way, they're controlled by the town board. So they have to come back to us every year for their budget regardless.
Let me ask you a question. Depending on, do you have any idea what a paramedic costs for a year's salary?
What's happening in the field now is there's less and less of those folks around. And, you know, Scoofus, as a matter of fact, wrote a grant. There's going to be a paramedic program up at Orange County Community College so that people can go, because up to now, there's no paramedic program in Orange County. They either go to Dutchess or Westchester, I think it was Westchester. But do I have any idea? Yeah. First of all, you're not going to get a paramedic unless you give them health
Right.
insurance. Right?
Well, that's what I mean, of course. Benefits, insurance.
And I think overall, I'm giving you ballpark figures here, but it probably, a paramedic nowadays with some experience, you probably got to pay him $35 an hour plus the benefits.
I would say you get them cheap at 70. That you're gonna double the benefits, so you're talking about 140?
75%.
No, you're talking about 35 an hour in salary and about another 30 an hour in benefits.
And you probably need how many of those, 3 or 4 to run them 24 hours a day?
One a shift. So.
Plus vacations, time off, sick
Plus
leave.
weekends, plus, so
And
it's
they're
probably
part- some
4
of
or
them are
5.
part-time, they're not full-time, not all of them are full-time. Some of the paramedics work part-time, they just cover shifts.
Like George says, if you can get them, I don't know where you can get them.
No, it's a bit difficult, I know.
You know, there are less and less, but there are still some. In fact, Jody, that was here tonight,
My chief is a paramedic.
he's the chief here, but he works in Dan
Yeah.
in Montgomery.
See,
And Blooming Grove, as a matter of fact.
so that's a
Certain
part-time
times.
situation.
So there are some moving around.
It's gonna be hard to, not for us, for the ambulance corps, in order to figure out this thing and get the logistics on it.
Well, that's like, I mean, we're going this way and we don't even know what any of the costs are or any of the alternatives. Are there any,
Everything was laid out in the map plan, which the map plan has been received. We got that back.
from,
Sean, our engineer did it.
is that available? I mean,
I'm sure it's a public record, yeah. I'm sure.
I can email it to you tomorrow, Bob.
Again, those numbers are, I don't want to say, they're subject to change by who's participating in it.
Right.
Right.
So we lose, New Hampton, we lose the village, the numbers change.
Which is what Mara was talking about with Montgomery and Walden and the like.
are there any private providers around, private companies that come
Yes.
in and provide?
No guarantee of service. I told you the story from way beyond the other day. Their ambulance showed up, picked up the baby, got the baby to the hospital. Empress showed up 29 minutes later, the mother, I believe, passed away.
No, I was thinking more like they'd be a private business right here in Goshen.
I think that's what Walden did, is what Assemblyman Marr was stating, Assemblyman Marr was stating earlier, was that when Montgomery formed it, Walden didn't participate, they went private.
Oh, yeah, they threatened them.
I don't know that
They
that's
beat them
what
over the
that.
head.
They were gonna pay for service
Semantics,
without having
Bob.
the service.
Come on. You know what they
But
did.
listen, yeah.
But I heard the governor
Come on.
off her office is saying this is a New York State problem. It's not just Orange County. It's a statewide problem that we don't have enough educated people who are EMS trained. And it makes a difference to get them there quickly. And so they can save lives.
Right. I just think that we were gonna try different things, look at different alternatives, and we're only taking one
We are.
alternative.
No, we still are.
There's only two alternatives to look at. Tax district or line item.
And there's the, again, from the legal end, Bob, I'm sorry to chime in on, but the fear or the threat of it coming down as an unfunded mandate nonetheless, and what impact, and that could be conjecture from, elected officials, but the idea of that coming down when you don't have control over it is that's the thing being run up the flagpole.
I don't think we should do anything just because the state says something. These people are off in 10 different directions every week, and
I don't think we're listening to them. I think we're listening to the people of Goshen and the need of an ambulance service.
well, there's no doubt about that. It's just the way that how we get to the.
One or two ways. And there'll be a public hearing to vote on it. It'll be one or two ways. We're either gonna form a district or we're gonna have a line item for the short that they have. But
And
we have
it's
to have-
subject to permissive referendum, the
permissive
district itself
referendum.
is, so there's an additional layer of
Yeah.
protection for the citizens, so.
Now, just for my own edification, how, the ambulance corps will have a board or something, and they'll decide what they need every year, and then come to you and sit down and hash it out?
And the way I understand it from Sullivan Mar is somebody from this board and somebody from the village board will sit on that board.
How many municipalities, is it just gonna be us in the village in this?
Well, that's the only thing, yeah, we don't have any other villages.
Right.
We do have Hamptonburg.
Yeah.
We have Hamptonburg.
Parts, I think it also grabs parts of like a little bit of Chester, Florida, just a tiny bit, but I don't.
So they won't get any representation on.
We have to go to them and say, this is what it's gonna cost for
Yeah.
your residents to be covered,
Yeah.
if you wanna be covered.
And
If
if
not,
they-
you're on your own, we don't service them anymore.
We hit them over the head.
Yep.
Right, okay, thanks.
Right.
Continuing the discussion about the ambulance services, at the beginning, we talked about ALS versus BLS ambulances. For those in the audience who may or may not know, BLS, Basic Life Service, and ALS, Advanced Life-Saving Ambulances. The difference between the two, having been a fireman in New York City for 20 years, I've been involved hundreds of times in CPR cases, and the difference between basic and advanced life support is really the difference between life and death. Basic life support, the EMTs can do CPR. They can't do any invasive procedures. ALS has paramedics. Paramedics, yes, they cost more money. I'm telling you, the training is almost a doctor. These paramedics can intubate, and they can start intravenous lines. They can start drugs. For the hundreds of times that I've been involved in CPR cases, the only saves we ever had was because there was an ALS unit there and they start the drugs. The drugs is what keeps the heart going. That's how you get a chance to save somebody's life. The town is growing, the population is growing, and volunteerism is at an all-time low, so this is absolutely something that needs to be done. I don't envy any of you with trying to figure out how to pay for it, but I appreciate that you are. I strongly urge you, please, ALS units, paramedics. I know it's gonna cost money, and Mr. Supervisor, you know I'm the last guy that wants to spend money, public money, but this is one of those things that makes a town
Makes sense.
is where you wanna live, right?
Agreed.
Just one other question. Did I get my 200,000 yet from IWS?
Got the signed contract.
But
I'll print the copy for you.
But the $200,000 is not predicated on anything. This is a quid pro quo. This is for monies received in the past.
That's right.
Right? So one should have nothing to do with the other. That check should be coming. Just saying.
Contract says 30 days.
Lots of discussion tonight. Thank you all very much. Again, ALS units for EMS. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I agree with you.
Neil?
You threw the numbers out on the ALS and paramedics, so I just had to do a real quick calculation. just for those, having them covering 24/7 and all that, it's about $657,000 just for those just for those 3 shifts of that one person. So then you're gonna have the EMTs, and then you're gonna have all the equipment and the insurance and everything else. So you're probably talking $2.5–3 million. $657,000 just for the salaries for the paramedics, 3 shifts.
24/7.
24/7.
At 30.
They're not here 24, they'll be on call.
No, they'll be in-house.
At least one paramedic.
Right, that's what I calculated was for the paramedics, straight around the clock, 24/7. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna be close to $2.5 million probably, and I'm not saying anything negative about it, I'm just saying it's a realistic budget.
But a lot of that will be offset by bills, too, not just straight to the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not making a judgment on it at all, okay? I just need to feel for numbers. I really thought tonight we were gonna talk about the new water district, or proposed water district, and I made a mistake. But the question then becomes, what's happening with that? Because I thought, well, last time we had somebody in here, we were talking about maybe a month or 2, and they're gonna have the information together, gathered.
We're still working on it. I mean, we have letters of support from most of the businesses there. We have a document from Delaware, everything out. Now we're just finalizing cost right now for the total district.
Do we know how much money was spent last year from the general fund on this so far?
Just whatever we paid Delaware. You know?
I think it was like 69,000.
69 with the pump down test, the lip-off wells was one. And then I don't know.
Yeah, I know at the
But
time we were talking.
just so that's reimbursable from the ban. It's not like it's.
It's only reimbursable if we form the district.
Correct.
Right, if we don't never form the district, then we just eat that.
Correct.
Right. So, and the last time I thought we were at 67 or so, and then whatever Delaware spent in the meantime.
Right.
So I just, that's a budget item that we weren't expecting last year. I just wondering what the numbers were now. We don't know apparently, but okay, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Priscilla? No comments? June, no comments? Nobody? With that said, I'd like to have a motion to close the town board meeting.
So moved, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, where were you?